of all, welcome to Williams, and congratulations on your students' acceptance and their decision to come here. Our Director of Parent Programs, Rob White, came up with a title for this presentation of Managing College Expenses. And I really think it should be called something like, How are we supposed to pay this bill? And over the course of this session, we'll talk about a lot of information about our billing process and how it works here at Williams, ways you can pay your students' bills, and how our office can assist your students and your families with getting those bills paid, especially during this first year when everything is so new. I tend to forget that it's the first time you've been on our Student Account Center. It's the first time the students are using PeopleSoft and looking at the Student Account Center. And I need to remind myself and my staff that it's all new to your families. So the Bursar's office. We are based in Hopkins Hall, which is the main administration building here on campus. My name is Mary Kate Shea. I'm class of '81. I have the strange title of Bursar, which is essentially Director of Student Accounts and Billing. My colleague Paula Langer is the Assistant Bursar, and Jill Mendel is an accounting assistant and cashier for the college, and she works closely with Paula and me. We are part of the Controller's Office, which is the main finance office on campus, and we report to the VP of Finance and Administration. And our email, which you may already know if you've communicated with us at all, is bursar@williams.edu, and our phone is 413-597-4396. That's our main line, and the three of us pick up that line, so you can call that. So what does the Bursar's office do? We post all charges, payments, and credits to the students' accounts. We issue two major term bills each year. You've already received the fall bill. That's issued in mid-July and is due in mid-August. And the spring bill will be issued in mid-December, and it will be due January 15th. We also issue additional bills throughout the year, about monthly. Sometimes it's not exactly monthly, and that's just kind of with miscellaneous charges. If your student buys EVE points, or if they lose their ID, or if there are packet charges, there are miscellaneous charges that will appear on their billing statements between the two major term bills. Another important thing our office does is we administer the student health insurance enrollment waiver process. It's an annual process. Your student has to do that every year before August 1. And our vendor is Gallagher Student Health. And what happens is your student, or the parents can do this actually for their student. You go on to Gallagher Student Health and you either waive the college's health insurance or enroll in it. The state of Massachusetts has had mandatory health care even before the Affordable Care Act, so that's why we have to do this process. Students have to either show that they have acceptable health insurance for the state of Massachusetts or enroll in our plan. We do communicate with the students about that, and that usually happens in, I would say, May or early June, that they will get an email. We send a postcard home to parents, but we know how postcards in the summer, there's a lot of opportunity for that to get mislaid. So just kind of on your calendars or mentally think by August 1st, I need to check with my student, have we waived or enrolled in the college's health insurance? It saves a little heartache on seeing that health insurance charge on your student's bill when, if you already have your own insurance, that doesn't need to be there. Okay. So communication is really important. I'm a Williams grad, class of '81, and the cost of attending Williams hit the $10,000 a year mark my senior year, and we were horrified that it was $10,000 a year. As you know, those days are long gone. So communicating with your student kind of about the financial realities of attending Williams is really important. I think you should discuss with your student the costs that are associated with attendance and come up with a game plan or a strategy for how your family is going to make this investment together for all 4 years. In speaking with parents, I often hear them say to me, I think we can make it through this year, but I don't know what we're going to do for the next 3 years. And that's a real challenge for the family and for our office in working with families. So I think you can discuss with your student or with your spouse or with whoever else is helping with your students' payments different tools you can use to pay the balance. One is the TMS monthly installment payment plan. We have a vendor, Tuition Management Systems, that administers that for us. It can be a little bit of a challenge because the fall term payment plan runs from June 1st through October 1st, and we don't issue our bills till the middle of July. So parents sometimes are like, what do I do? I don't know what my balance is. We can help you with that. This will be for next fall. But you can always call our office in May or just before June 1, and we can help you kind of come up with an estimate that you can use to start your payment plan if you want to do that. We have 2 payment plans, the fall and the spring. You have to sign up for them separately now. There is no 10-month payment plan anymore. So the spring term payment plan will start November 1. It runs November 1 through March 1. Again, spring term bill doesn't come out to the middle of December. Feel free to call our office in the next month or so, and we can help you determine what you might want to budget to start that payment plan. If your family has a 529 plan set up, start to develop your strategy for how you're going to spend down those funds. Outside scholarships is another possibility. And then student loans, federal direct loans. For international students, Williams has loans to offer because international students can't apply for the federal direct loans. MIFA loans, Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority, has loans that are available to students who attend school in Massachusetts. You don't need to be a resident of Massachusetts. It's if your student goes to school in Massachusetts. And private loans are another possibility. There are parent loans, the federal Parent Plus loan that you can get from the government, bank loans and private loans. Other thing I suggest you do is discuss with your student what you are going to pay for and what they will need to pay for. For example, tuition, room, board charges versus lost ID cards, library fines, parking registration, parking fines, and other what I call self-inflicted charges. I talked to a father last year whose daughter had racked up some parking fines and had lost her ID a couple of times. I said, you can actually make her pay those herself. And he was like, I can. And I was like, yes, you can. So, speak to your student, maybe not today, because today's going to be kind of an emotional day, maybe when you say goodbye, but fairly soon about, if they lose their ID or if they have a car on campus. I'm not sure if first years are allowed to have cars, but if it gets to that point next year and they have a car, if they park in the wrong place and get a parking fine, maybe they should be paying for that themselves rather than you taking care of it. Just a thought. Help them start to be responsible for their own consequences of their actions. The other thing, it is critical that deadlines for submission for financial aid applications be followed. All the associated forms need to be submitted so that they can determine your award in a timely fashion before we put out the bills. I mean, it happens that awards are determined after we put out the bills, but it makes it hard for you to figure out how much am I supposed to be paying now when I don't know my financial aid award. The deadline is usually around April 25th or so. It's a little early, especially with filing of taxes. And I suggest that a family fill out what's called the FAFSA form, which is the starting point for financial aid. Every year, even if you don't think your student is going to be eligible for financial aid from Williams, a FAFSA is necessary in order for a student to take federal direct loans. So it can't hurt to file a FAFSA even if you don't think you're going to qualify for financial aid. You also need, the FAFSA has to be in if you want to take a Parent Plus loan as well. So filing that, just having that already with the financial aid office, if you make the decision, oh gee, I'd like my student to take some federal student loans, or our family is going to apply for a plus loan, you're already ready in position to do that if the FAFSA is in. So communicating with our office, there's something called FERPA, which is Federal Educational Something Privacy Act. And you're going to hear that probably thrown around a lot today by different departments. Technically, under the federal privacy laws, we are only supposed to communicate with students about their accounts. Now, I know that seems really kind of crazy when in 99.9% of the cases, it's the parents or family members who are paying the college, but it's the law, and there are fairly severe penalties for not following that law. But we take, if you are registered for the Student Account Center, if your student grants you access to their account and you register, we take that as a yes, that we can talk to family members who are registered about the student's account. So that's a really important thing. I think all of you said you were already registered, which is wonderful. We find sometimes with first year students, they don't do it. The parent, like it gets to be October, and I'm sending emails to the student, and the parent's saying, I never saw a bill. And that's our opportunity then to get them signed up. So it's really critical that your student invite you to register for the SAC. And I was going to suggest if you don't have access, that you make your student do it before you leave campus today. But I think we're all set with the group that's here. Our office is not able to copy you on emails regarding things like registration holds due to overdue balances. Sometimes if I'm working with a family about a payment arrangement, I will communicate directly with the parent if that's who we started the conversation with. But when I'm sending out my blast emails, which your students may have gotten them in the last couple of days about registration holds, for example, for the drop add period, which is coming up, those go to the student. Again, talk to your student about sharing those with you. They should look at it and see, is this something I can handle? Is this something I should go and deal with? But if it's something they're confused about or don't know what to do with, they should forward it to you so that you can help them with action on it. What they should not do is just ignore an email from the bursar's office or from financial aid or from the dean's office or from any office on campus, the registrar's office. Please ask them to keep an eye on their Williams email and, like I said, either take action if they can, if they know what to do, or communicate with you about what they need to do to take action on those emails. Okay, so how the billing process works. Again, we put out the 2 major term bills in mid-July and mid-December, and then the monthly billing statements. Anybody who's registered for the Student Account Center will get an email notification that says, the e-bill for Sue Smith is available to view and pay. There will be a new statement whenever there is a balance on the student's account, whether it's a balance owed or whether it's a credit balance, which is an overpayment, or if there's been any activity since the last billing statement. I have a lot of families will call me right after we put those out, and they say, well, I got this thing that says my bill is ready to pay, but I have a zero balance. And it could just be that it's showing a payment that was made since the last billing statement that brought you to the zero balance. It also may be that you think you have a zero balance, but your student has incurred some miscellaneous charges since the last billing statement. So my recommendation is that you always, when you get those emails, just log into the Student Account Center and see what's going on with your student's account.
How often do you see those statements?
About monthly.
Okay.
And you'll get the email that will say it's ready to look at. The statements are a snapshot at the moment we run the billing file. You can always see in the Student Account Center, and I'll show you this a little bit later, you can see your student's accurate up-to-the-minute balance in the Student Account Center without even looking at a statement. The statement is just a reminder that there's been some activity.
So we won't get a bill, but we'll get notified of the statement.
You'll get notified that there's a statement, and then you log into the Student Account Center to be able to see the actual bill. If you go into the Student Account Center and you see total amount due and there are parentheses around the number, that means it's a credit balance. That's a good thing. Parents will sometimes call and they're upset because they see that and say, I don't know anything. And we say, that's a credit balance. If you see a minus in front of it or parentheses around the number, it's a credit balance. And again, you should log in and just take a look at the account anytime you get one of those email notifications that says there's a bill ready to view and pay. So a little bit, I've talked about the installment payment plan before, but it is a really good tool if you can figure out how to budget for it in a way that can start with June 1st for the fall and November 1st for the spring. It's administered by TMS, fall term plan, 5 payments, June 1 to October 1, spring term plan, 5 payments from November 1 to March 1. You tell TMS how much you want to budget for the payment plan. TMS knows our charges, but they don't know whether you've got financial aid, they don't know whether you've got a 529 plan, they don't know whether you've got a grandparent who's helping contribute. They don't know what other funds you have. So if they ever try to tell you what to budget for your payment plan, say, no, Williams told me that's not how it works. Occasionally their customer service people aren't as well trained as we'd like to see, I'll be honest with you. But you tell them how much you want to budget, and then they'll divide that by 5, and you make those monthly payments. Now, the challenge is, let's say it's next fall, and you want to start the payment plan in June, and you're like, I don't really know what my students' charges are going to be. Feel free to call our office. We obviously know what the new charges are for the year, tuition, room, board. We know what those are. We can help you come up with a figure that you can start with, and you budget that amount, and you start making your payments. Then when you get your bill in July, or your student's financial aid award, maybe let's say it's not determined till August, and you know a little bit better what you now actually owe, you can tweak your payment plan. You can call TMS back and say, you know what, I budgeted X, I want to increase or reduce my budgeted amount, and then they will shift the amount you pay per month based on it. It doesn't happen automatically. It's not like you said, I'm going to budget X, and then we automatically feed information to them about any changes. We don't do that. But you feel free to contact our office if you need help with determining the amount as a starting budget for your installment payment plan. That's what IPP stands for, installment payment plan. When you do a payment plan, the nice thing about it is it will show what I can see in our system is what you've actually paid, but they also give a provisional credit for the remaining payments that they anticipate you making for, let's say, July, August, September, October. So that you're going to see a real true balance. Let's say the charges are $30,000 for the term and you budget $24,000 for your payment plan. I'm going to see a balance of $6,000 due. If you don't do that and you just start making kind of random payments to Williams, there's no provisional credit, and we don't really have a good look at what is really owed. So the payment plan is a good way to divide how much you're going to owe Williams for the term and spread it out so you're not trying to come up with a big amount of money all at once. You can make installment payments directly to TMS by a check to TMS or online through the Student Account Center using what's called the Make a Payment Plan option. And I'll show you that when we actually get to looking at the Student Account Center. There's a lot of information on the Bursar's office website. I was going to take you to it, but we probably won't do that because if I do that, I may never get back to the presentation with my skills here. But there is a lot of information. There's a tuition and fees tab, which will give you information about the costs for Williams. There's a billing and payments tab, which has information about how to get to the Student Account Center, the payment plan, how to make an international wire payment. We have something called peer transfer that we use for international wire payments. It's been a very, very good service. They specialize only in college payments with international currency. If you need actual wire instructions for our bank for a domestic wire transfer or an international wire transfer, just email us. We don't put that information on our website so that our banking information just isn't kind of out there on the website. And there's a policies and procedures tab, which talks about things like holds. It talks about the college's refund policy. The college has a refund policy that is tiered from 100% before classes start down through 10% 8 weeks in. If your student should have to take a leave of absence for any reason after the term has started, there is a graduated refund that comes directly from Williams. But I would say just take a spin through our website and just see what's there. There's some pretty good information. And then logging in for the Student Account Center. Oh, sorry. Tell you a little bit more about, there's also on the Policies and Procedures tab, we have partnered with Sally Mae Grad Guard for tuition refund insurance. It's complex and it may not be right for your family. It's something to take a look at. If you want to enroll in it, it has to be done before the first day of classes. But it's something to think about if you are paying a significant amount of money to Williams and you think there is a chance that your student might need to take a leave of absence at some point. It's helpful. It supplements the college's refund policy. It's not right for many of our families, but it might be right for yours, something to think about. Okay, so let's take a look at the Student Account Center. Let's see. And how it works. The logon is from our website. I am going to attempt to get to the internet here. So you access the Student Account Center by going to, the college's website came right up, that's nice. The college's website, and then you can just, bursar.williams.edu gets you right to the Bursar's office website. Actually, I can show you this now that we're here. And you've got your tuition and fees tab. Which as you probably all are aware of the comprehensive fee for this year. A little information about changing board plan, which first-year students cannot do. First-year students have to be on the full meal plan. They want to make sure that they're getting enough to eat and not making decisions that are maybe not healthy for them. But starting sophomore year, meal plans can be reduced from the 21 to a 14 or a 10. I oftentimes, going to a 14 meal plan makes sense to me. Going to a 10, I usually try to ask students, are you really sure you're doing it for the right reason? We don't want you to not be eating enough. Don't do it because it saves you a little bit more money, if you can help it. See if there's a different way to make up that difference than not eating enough. So we've got the tuition and fees tab, the billing and payments tab, which over on the right-hand side talks about the Student Account Center, international wire payments, tuition refund, insurance, requesting a refund. If your student has a credit balance, they can request a refund of the credit balance. This is something you probably want to talk to your student about too, because since it's considered the student's account, if there's a credit balance, they can come to our office and fill out a form and they can take the refund. So if you don't want that to happen, you should speak to them and say, if there's a credit balance on your account, we want to either leave it there or let you, the parent, know, and if they want the refund to come to you, they can let us know that. They can fill out on the form that they want the refund check to go to whoever they want it to go to. That's why we suggest not leaving large credit balances on a student's account. A parent called me the other day and wanted to make a kind of a prepayment, and I said, you can do that, but we won't put it on the student's account because they could come in and say, oh, look, I have an $18,000 credit balance, and we can't stop them from taking it. So we try not to have the credit balances be large on the student's account. But you're always welcome to leave a credit balance on there to have it go towards miscellaneous charges for the term, or even to roll over to the next term and start chipping away at what you're going to owe for the next term. So there's a lot of good information. The health insurance waiver enrollment process is on here. So let's see. We'll take a look at one more tab here. Policies and procedures tab, since we're here. Talks about the book purchase policy, that your students can buy their books, they're expected to buy their books at Water Street Books, which is the college bookstore. If the student is a financial aid recipient, all books that are required for their courses will be covered by the book grant. The book grant tends to come later, so you're going to start seeing, you may start seeing charges on your student's account as early as today. As of Friday, students could start buying books at Water Street Books. We won't be doing the book grant until probably the end of September. Once the deadline comes where they can no longer buy books using their ID card, that's when the financial aid office processes the grant. So if in the meantime you see, $300 for books or, $400, don't panic if your student is a financial aid recipient, because that will be covered by a grant, provided the books are required for the course tab. You'll come to bursar.williams.edu, click on the billing and payments tab. I'm going to back up for 1 minute. When you get the notification from our office that a bill is ready to view and pay, I'd suggest that you read the whole email, because that's where I put things like deadlines for drop add are coming up, or suggest that you start thinking about enrolling in a payment plan for the next term. I put a lot of information into those emails, and I think sometimes parents just get the email and they just kind of either go, oh, I don't have a balance or whatever. But take a look at it, because it will help you, spark you with some things that maybe you want to take action on, or talk to your student about taking action on. So you're going to click over here. You can click either on Student Account Center or Access Student Account Center. I used to use just this, the Access Student Account Center, and then Rob White, who's our Director of Parent Programs, said, we really should have something bold, and so I said, okay, put another little link there. So this takes you to the Student Account Center. I'm sorry we can't see all of this at once, but you're going to log in over here with your credentials. I'm going to log in as an administrator because that's how I access the system. So I'm going to use a student from last year. This is a little tricky. I was trying to find someone I could use as a sample, and a lot of people don't want their information out there, so I'll use. Again, you folks are probably, if you've been given access and you've looked in, you're probably familiar with this. We can ask questions about it if you have any specific questions about what you've come to use. But this is what, when you log in, you see these 4 tabs across the top. This student has no fall term balance because he's not here. He was a special foreign student who was here just as an exchange student last year. But if this was your student, there might be a balance here. There might be some pending aid if the financial aid award, for example, right now, today we are dispersing the federal aid. Federal aid can't be dispersed to the student's account until 10 days before the start of classes. That's kind of a federal regulation. So you might see that you had a balance of $3,000 here, and let's say the student had taken some loans that totaled $1,900. You'd see the $1,900, again, in parentheses, because it's a credit, it's a positive, and then you would see the total amount due, including this pending aid, and that's what would show here as well. If you had a payment plan, and there was still another, let's say, $1,000 to be paid on the payment plan between now and October, you'd see that $1,000 here too, and again, it would reduce your amount due appropriately. So when you go to the account activity tab, this is a good one. It's a little hard to read, but it shows you everything that's gone on in this student's account. And again, this is last spring. Yes, we don't want fire. I don't need a new Firefox. It shows you everything that went on this student's account last spring, going way down to, if I go down to here, you're going to see back in December of 2014, his charges, tuition, housing, board, student activity fee, and then, for example, this student had a Williams grant. He bought some EVE points at one point in the spring. There was a winter study financial aid adjustment that was made. He bought some bus tickets. That's another thing you want to talk to your student about too, is bus tickets. Difference between maybe buying a bus ticket to come home and deciding to go to Boston or New York for the weekend, as far as which one you might want to pay for. He lost his ID card. He had a textbook charge, but then you'll see he had a textbook grant, and he's going to have some other things. So you can see all the different charges and payments and credits on your student's account. You can decide, I just want to look at one term. I just want to look at, in this case, let's say for Donald, fall. I just find it's easy to look at it, just all of them, and it's by date chronologically. Statements is where, when you get that thing that says, the email that says there's a statement ready to view and pay, I would just go in, look at the overall balance, maybe look at the account activity to see the specific charges, or you can actually look at the statement. I'm going to look at, let's look at his statement for the spring term, which is this December one. You click on that, and then you click on View Your Bill. If your computer has pop-ups blocked, we have parents contact, I can't see the statement. I can't see the statement. I've got the same parents who've been saying it to me for 2 years. And it may be because your pop-up blockers are on. I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't, in fact, it's done it right here. I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm doing and see if I can make it allow it. Okay, and this is the billing statement you've probably seen. Again, it's a snapshot at the moment we issue the billing file. So sometimes by the time we even send an email to you, which is a day later, it takes a little while for this process to run, it can be inaccurate. Your student might have lost their ID or bought some EVE points or something in between. But it's good to look at. It's also something you can use for purposes of documentation if you need to give something to a 529 plan or that kind of thing, to show them you actually do have a child enrolled at Williams and there are actually charges involved. This student did not have a payment plan. If you had signed up for a TMS installment payment plan, you would click here and you would link it to your Student Account Center site, and then you can do everything through the Student Account Center. You can make your payment plan payments, you can make separate payments. Let's say you've got a payment plan to cover the major charges, but you say, I'd rather just make a one-time payment to pay those small miscellaneous charges. You can do that. You don't have to do that through the installment payment plan. I'm going to see if I can get back to just want to show you about making a payment. It's going to be a little tricky because he's so when you're in here and you want to make a payment, there's only so far I can go with this because it doesn't let me take a parent all the way through because I'm not logged in as you, but the available payment plan, payment options are a payment plan, and they always list that first at TMS because that's how they make their money, is through the payment plan, or a one-time payment. You just click on this box anywhere in it, it's going to take you to a second choice. There's no balance due for this student, but you could either enroll in a payment plan if there was a balance here, although I would say at this point it's awfully late to enroll in a payment plan because you'd have to make essentially 3 payments to catch up, June, July, and August, and be ready to make September's tomorrow. Or make a one-time payment. I can't go any further on this. This looks like it's all credit cards, but see this little thing here says e-check? You can make a credit card payment. There is a 2.99% convenience fee for a credit card payment. If you make a payment from your bank account, a regular US standard checking or savings account, there's no fee at all. It's called an ACH transfer. If I could show you, I would, but you put in your routing number and your bank account number, and it will pull it from it. There isn't a way with our new system to schedule a payment, for example, for next week. There used to be in our old e-bill system, you could actually schedule a payment for a different date. When you do it in here, you're doing it as of the date that you're in the system. I already showed you 2 samples of the bills. That's pretty much what I had to say. Questions? Yeah.
When you were showing all those statements and billing, this is all electronic. None of these statements come to us in the mail other than that postcard you sent.
Exactly. They are all electronic now. You can print them out for your own use if you need a hard copy, but no, we no longer. We no longer send hard copy bills.
Scholarships credit, that's not coming in the fall.
Yeah, scholarships, if you complete the outside scholarship information sheet for the financial aid office, and that should be done even if your family is not receiving financial aid from Williams, but you've got, a National Merit Scholarship or a $500 community type scholarship, you should fill out that form and submit it to financial aid, and they will take it, and let's say it's a $1,000 scholarship. They will divide it $500 for the fall term, $500 for the spring term, and they'll post it to your student's account as a provisional credit, which will then reduce the bill until such time as they actually get the check. When they actually get the check, they'll disperse it, and it will show as a active payment.
Those forms are available in your office.
They're actually online on the financial aid. If you go to the financial aid website and click on their forms, there's something called the 2015-16 scholarship information sheet. And it's good to get that to them because that way they have a sense of what's coming in. They can put them on as provisional credits, and you don't have to call our office and say, I see my balance is $500, but I've got a $500 outside scholarship coming. It helps me when I run reports to already have that be in there, and it would show your student's balance as 0. Until such time as the check doesn't arrive. And then they take that provisional credit back off, and all of a sudden you would have a balance. So it's something you want to keep an eye on, making sure those come in. Yes?
So that's the case in my case, and the moment I put up the form, whatever the scholarship amount we divided, and then I paid the remaining amount.
Right.
So how am I sure when, are you going to, because I gave all the information on how to collect the information in the form, collect the scholarship. Did you do that?
The financial aid office does that. The financial office really administer all loans and they administer all outside scholarships. They feed the information to us on a daily basis so that the student records will be updated for what shows in the Student Account Center and what shows in our internal record system. But they're the ones who handle all that.
Okay, so to know whether it is done or not, I have to contact them.
Yes, contact the financial aid office. If you don't see it on your student's account, but you think you've already submitted something, you would contact financial aid.
Can you
Yes.
explain what EVE points are?
Yes, the question is, what are EVE points? Students can buy EVE points and they're on their ID card. It's mainly 2 things. Laundry, that's how laundry is done now, although your student can still put quarters in the machine, but that's kind of unwieldy. So it's for laundry and for vending machines and some other miscellaneous dining purchases. You might want to talk to your student about checking with you before they go and put $200 worth of EVE points on their card, because nobody seems to do $200 worth of laundry. Because if they have a full meal plan, their meals are already taken care of. This is meant to be kind of for little miscellaneous things. So whenever I see a big Eve Point charge, I'm like, oh, did the student really mean to do that? And does the parent know that they're doing it? Because it will go straight onto the term bill. It's not something you pay for in advance. It goes right on the term bill.
Do those points roll over and they don't use them for school year?
That's a good question. The question was, do the Eve Points roll over? And I don't know that they do. You want to take a look at the Dining Services website. There's more information about Eve Points there. I'm really not sure about that.
So they use their EM's ID and then they buy something in the vending machine? How do you want?
Yeah, I believe the vending machines are now set up where you use, I think you can still pay cash, but that you can use your ID to swipe in them. I know the laundry is set up that way. Any other questions? If you come across anything that you don't understand that you receive from our office, or that your student, again, remind your student that they really should share with you what they're getting from administrative offices. If they don't understand what it means, or they're just kind of freaked out by getting emails. I know they've already maybe gotten some emails from me. I know some of the first-year students have. Feel free to call our office. We definitely want to help you get through, particularly the first year, and then once you've gone through a year of our billing cycle, I think you'll be fine. Although every year has its own quirks and challenges, so feel free to contact us. Thank you.